Hey everybody, it's Jochen Hayden and I'm back with another tutorial video, and today we're going to be talking about political points. This is something I wanted to cover for a long time because there's a lot of nuances to it that aren't necessarily clear in the game. So I want to tell you a little bit about how they work and some ways to use them. Some tips and tricks. Alright, let me show you what we're going to cover today. Here we go. I made a little, you love my production value, right? Notepad? I love Notepad. Here's what we're going to cover for today. We're going to talk about political points, and we're going to talk about how to change leaders, and these are all uses for political points or that kind of stuff. Changing leaders, buying air units to the commands, buying land units to the commands, changing commands and bases. Ooh, that's pretty cool, right? Political point refunds, and this is not something that's in the manual, but I'm going to show you how you can actually make money with political points. And then lastly, we'll talk about ways you can lose political points for being a bad boy or a bad girl if you're a female, because this game is gender neutral, right? Okay, so we'll start first with talking about changing leaders, because this is one way that you can spend your political points. So you can change leaders for land, sea, and air units, right? So let's talk about land units first. And I've covered this in other videos, but I'll briefly go over it again. Let's say you have a commander of a unit and you don't like his stats. If you want to increase his get a better commander for that unit, for example, you need to pick skills that you value the most, and then you can click on a commander here and change it, and it will tell you how much it will cost you in political points to change that commander. So bear in mind, there's a cost to exchange them total, right? So don't mind what this says, don't mind what that says. Mind what this says. Exchange will cost you 8 political points. This is the out-the-door cost, regardless of what the rest of these say. So if I click here and hit done, I have a new commander for that unit with a much better land skill and very high aggression. And you notice that it cost us the 8 political points. Okay. You can also change leaders of air units. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, that's entirely up to you, but sometimes you may want a commander with more aggression, more air skill than what the unit already has. So to do that, you would click on the commander here. And again, you need to pick the traits that you value the most. For example, I want somebody with a lot of aggression and a lot of air skill. Look at that. I click on Fuchida, who should probably be on a carrier somewhere. I believe he's the coordinator of the Pearl Harbor strike, right? And you see here, exchange will cost 11 political points. So don't get caught up on that. Don't get caught up on that. Worry about this. So if I want Fuchida in command of this seaplane squadron, there he is. He's there now. And again, you'll notice that we were debited for that amount of political points. Let's talk about ships. Let's see here. So ships... there's two things you can do for changing ship commanders. You can do just the ship itself. For example, let's say on the Fuso, I want a better captain here, right? You can change the commander of the ship just like you would, for the land and air. So you select the commander you want. You look at the exchange cost, right? That's the only thing that matters. And you hit accept leader change, and now you have a new commander for your ship. Now these commanders stay on the ship until they sink, or until you reassign them. So this is a one-time cost for your ships in essence, right? So a lot of people are gonna pick commanders for their big important ships that are better, right? So for the Kaga, for example, right? I want the best possible commander with the naval skill to make sure that the ship can stay afloat if it gets damaged in an attack, right? I'm just giving you an example. You would change that while it's in port. Okay, once the ship leaves port, there's no changing the commander until it gets back. Here's an example of one. Do you see these ships that are out to sea? I can't change the captain, right? I can't change the captain because he's not in port. What am I going to do? Drive a boat out there and swap the captain out or fly him out there? Probably not. So they have to be in a port hex or inside the port, like disbanded, for it to work. Now, I talked about changing the ship commanders, and that's permanent. But you can also change a task force commander. And let me give you an example of that. Let's say we wanted to put together a battleship task force, right? What's going to happen is the captain of this the commander of this task force typically will default to the ship that's determined to be the task force commander, or the flagship. Let me rephrase that: the flagship. And you see the little number sign here that tells you that's the flagship commander and the flagship. So the captain of the ship is in command of this task force, but the task force commanders give additional skills to the rest of the task force. So you may not want this captain to be in charge of the whole task force. You can change that too. So let's say I want to put an admiral that's got a really good naval skill, right? Look at this guy, Raizo Tanaka. Remember the Tokyo Express guy? I want Tanaka in command of this task force because look at that naval skill. This guy's badass, and his influence will affect all the ships in the task force. And again, exchange cost. If I want to change him out, I put accept leader change. So now the commander of the task force is Admiral Tanaka, and he is based on the Nagato, but the captain of the Nagato is still in place, right? I want to caution you about changing task force commanders. It is not permanent. The second you disband this task force, the commander goes away. So be very careful and be very judicious about your use of changing task force commanders. Don't spend the political points to do it unless it's very, very important task force or a task force that you intend to keep together for a long time. For example, Kido Butai. I don't like Nagumo. I don't think he's that great, right? I bet you there's a better option out here. So let's see. I want to put Yamaguchi, who's actually his subordinate, if you can believe that. And it will cost me 11 political points. That's fine. I just put Admiral Yamaguchi in charge of Kido Butai. However, this is not permanent if I get rid of this task force, okay? Let's go back to our battleships here. I spent the money for Tanaka, right? If I accidentally do this, that task force is gone. And if I reform it, look at, we're back to Captain Yano because Tanaka's gone, right? And you'd have to pay to get him back again, all right? So again, I want to caution you when you're spending money on task force commanders, make sure you know that if you lose the task force, disband the task force, anything, that money is gone. Whereas the commanders of the ships stay on the ships forever. So keep that in mind. All right. I think next we're going to talk about, let's see, what did we talk about so far? Oh, hold on. I got rid of my little notepad. Okay, I got my notepad back. Right, before we move on to air units, let me give you one little note here about the cost of the political points to exchange. It's typically a function of the leader's rank, not necessarily their ability. Let me give you an example. Admiral Toyota, right? He is a full admiral. It costs 45 political points to exchange him. Okay, but this rear admiral. Okay, so look at his naval skill, 72. Check this out. This captain here has naval skill of 72, but he only costs 4 political points to change out. So don't get worried about the rank so much, guys, because the rank drives the cost of the political point exchange, right? A vice admiral costs a lot less, and in some cases it's even less. So it's typically, but not always. There is some variability here, but typically the rank is going to drive more often than not the cost of the political points. So don't value the rank, value the skills that you want first. All right? Good. Now, we will talk about buying air units, other commands. Okay, so we're back and we're going to talk about air units and buying them out. Okay, so here's what the manual says. By the way, I forgot to mention this. The manual is here, and it is section 11 in the ebook, page 222. Now, this does not tell you a lot. It tells you some of the stuff that I'm mentioning here, but not everything. Okay? So here it is if you want to talk about that. Let's get back to this. Now, the manual says that the cost of buying air units to other commands is 4 times number of planes, and it's been my experience that this is nonsense. I don't even know what this means because it's so inconsistent. Let me show you what it's talking about here. So, let's say this unit here has 30 aircraft assigned, or even 25. So we're looking at a political point cost of either 120 or 100, but it's actually only 60. So I don't even know what it's talking about. So there's no rhyme or reason to this that I can tell. So if you want to know how much it costs to buy a unit out, just click on it and find out yourself, because it's not times 4 in all cases. Let's talk about why you would want to do that. Okay, so a lot of units have commands. If you see an S or an R or an SR, it means that they're restricted, meaning they can't leave their geographical area that they start out. Here's an example. Let's say this 5th Sentai, I want to send it over to the Kwangtung Army for whatever reason. I put drop tanks on it. I can go 20 hexes. I want to move this thing from mainland Japan over to Mukden, right? So I click transfer to base, go to Mukden, which is within range, but group cannot transfer to this unrestricted location. Well, how would I fix that? Well, you got to pay. And not all units can, right? You see, sometimes they're blanked out. That means that you cannot buy them. They're permanently stuck where they're at. They're not intended to go anywhere. That's fine. So you're looking for units that have yellow in them, okay? For example, this 5th Sentai, I want to send it to Mukden, but I got to do it. So how do I do it? I click on the air unit, and I need to find an unrestricted command to assign it to get it out of here. So you'll notice on this dialog screen, you have 2 options. It costs 60 political points to change outside of command, or 15 to change within command. What does that mean? 60 outside of command is referring to its major command. So this 1st Air Division is assigned to General Defense Army. That's the new major command. Or that's the current major command. If I wanted to transfer it to another unit in another major command, like Kwangtung Army, it would cost me 60 political points. Okay, well, that's fine, but I want to save some money. So what you can do is you find another headquarters inside your already existing major command that doesn't have an R or an S or an SR by it, right? You can click on that, and you notice now the cost will only be 15 political points. It is only 1/4 the cost to transfer units within their major commands to another headquarters. Remember that, because we're going to need to know that for our army units coming up. And the game interface doesn't tell you that, but it will tell you that for the aircraft here. I don't know why it does it for here and not for there, but remember this. This is very important. It's very important. So now I can assign it to 11th Flotilla for 15 political points. I hit done. It says 11th Air Flotilla. And now watch this. Transfer to base. Transfer to Mukden. Boom. Now, this unit, because it's assigned to a headquarters that has no restrictions at all, can go anywhere on the map that you own and is within range, okay? I could send it all the way to Hawaii eventually if I wanted to. I could load it on a ship. I could do whatever I want with it if it's unrestricted, okay? If it's restricted, you're going to have issues to move these aircraft around. Let me give you another example of that. Sometimes they can't fly to their destination because it's too far away. You'd have to ship them, right? So let's go pick up this guy here. All right, let's go ship aircraft. Let's say I wanted to take this Sonia unit here and move it to Formosa, right? It doesn't have the range to get there right now. So, okay, it's the 101st Chutai. So I want to dock this and try to load that aircraft, right? Unable to load on a task force. Why? You know why? Because it's restricted. So now, let's say I want to move that. I could go here and assign it to 11th Air Flotilla. Again, only paying 1/4 the cost. So normally it'd be 36. And okay, now check that out. 9 aircraft assigned. Now it's times 4. There's no rhyme or reason to it, guys. I don't know why. Uh, just look at it in here. Okay, 9 political points to assign it. Now it's part of 11th Air Flotilla. Watch this. Let's get our ship. Let's load. Look at that. Now that air flotilla is loading up because it's unrestricted. See? Now I have it aboard the ship. That is why you would want to use political points to reassign your air units. Now, there's other reasons too, and we'll talk about it later when we get to the bases. The base political points and reassignments, okay? But that's basically air units and how to spend political points to reassign them to other headquarters so you can unrestrict them and move them out of their geographically restricted areas. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments and I'll explain it further, or come over to Discord and we'll talk about it there. But that's air units. Let's talk about land units now. Okay, so now we're on part 3, buying land units to other commands. This is another function of political points, and per the manual, the cost is a function of the number of devices and the types in the unit. So don't even ask me how the math is done. I couldn't even tell you. You could try to figure this out on yourself, but it's not really necessary, in my opinion. Basically, if you want to get a rough estimate of how much it's going to cost, look at the amount of devices in there, and then you can go over to click on this command here, and it will tell you how much it costs. This particular unit would cost 71 political points to assign to another headquarters. So let's talk about it. Why would I want to do that? Well, there's a few reasons. One, there are some units that are geographically restricted to an area, and again, it's that R, that S, or that SR that's going to tell you that, right? But as long as it's yellow here, that means you can change it if you have the money. Why would I want to do that? Well, let's say I wanted to take this unit and move it to China. I want it to go to Shanghai, right? Let's see, the 29th Japanese Air Force unit. All right, I want to move that to China. So I'm going to get a little amphibious task force going here, right? Something that can carry troops. A couple of these will do it, right? And we'll dock it. And let's load up our unit. Well, wait, where is it? It's not even on the list. Well, there's a reason. Because it is restricted. Where's the 29th? There. This unit can't leave this area because this headquarters is assigned to the home islands. So what would I do? I would have to reassign it to another headquarters that is not restricted. So, for example, I could reassign it to Southern Army. It would cost me 71 political points. And why is it that full cost? Because we're moving it outside of its major command to another command. Okay? But Southern Army, notice how there's no S or an R or anything there. It's unrestricted. So now I'm going to spend 71 political points, right? Full cost. I've just changed it to Southern Army, which is unrestricted. Now, I could take my ship, and you notice here, the Southern Army, or rather the Air Force unit, is now loadable. And now we're loading it up. So that is one reason you would spend political points to buy out units to move them. Okay? There's another thing you can do. Or another reason, rather. There are certain house rules in play-by-email campaigns. If you're playing against a human, a lot of times there's going to be rules in place, which means that you have to pay political points to move units out of restricted areas into others. And a lot of times, if you're the Japanese, they're talking about Kwangtung army units going into China. Here's what I'm talking about. Look at this. I could take, so this R, right, these restrictions, restrict it to a geographical area, but that only pertains to traveling like out of the continent, right? So this unit in Japan is stuck because it has an ocean. It can't drive across the water, right? It has to get loaded on a ship. I had to pay for that. But there are some units here in, like this Kwangtung Army, right? If I go strategic move, I could theoretically move it into China, right? And it will go, even though it's assigned to Kwangtung Army, because we're not leaving the land, and it's only restricted in as much as it has an R here. It can still go in there. But imagine the flood of units that you could dump into China just unrestricted like that, right? So there are usually political points involved with changing the commands to do that, or else there's just no way to stop the Japanese player from steamrolling China instantly. It's up to the players to have honor and integrity and do what they say they're going to do, right? Because I could still move this unit in here and my opponent wouldn't even know until they saw it in combat. They would go, oh, 29th Division, wait, that's a Kwangtung Army unit. Hey, you paid political points to do that, right? And you would say, oh, yeah, sure. Well, how would they know? Unless you show them a screenshot saying that you did. It's up to you to honor the agreement, right? I don't want to get too far into that. There are going to be some units that still can't do it, but those are far and few between. Let me see if this one will. Yep, that'll go. So it's not the R, it's going to be an SR. Let me see if I can find one. Let me see if I can find a... if there's like a Kwangtung Army unit that... I don't know if there's even any that can't go. Yeah, so... you know what I'm saying? Like, this is why it's important that you guys, that these rules exist, right? I could still move this guy. I could still move it. You could basically empty out the entire Kwangtung Army into China if you didn't have these political point spending rules in place. Now, there are going to be some units like this. Do you see, again, how it's not yellow? I couldn't change that commander. So if I had a rule in place that I could not move a unit without changing the headquarters, Third Army is permanently stuck in Kwangtung Army, right? I cannot move it out of Manchukuo per the rules. Again, I'm kind of going off on a caveat there, but that's what that is. So you know that we need to spend money to move a unit. So what I could do here is go Kwangtung Army. This would cost 80, and let's say I want to assign it to China Expeditionary Army. This would meet the intent of the rule, right? Because China Expeditionary Army is assigned to China. So if I spend 80 political points to move this unit into this command, now I've met the agreement and I can move it over into China and use it. I've spent the money. It's assigned to a headquarters which is intended to be used in China. I've met the intent. Okay. Again, the only reason you would do this here in this situation would be to honor an agreement of a house rule in a play by email. There's nothing physically stopping you from taking units in Kwangtung and moving them into China. It's a rule that two players will agree on. I'm just showing you how they work. But there's a catch. You notice how I told you it costs that full amount to move it outside of the headquarters, out of the major command? There are things you can do to save some political points here. And I'm going to show you a couple of those right now. Okay. Let's take a look at, for example, Japan. I have this Guards Mixed Brigade. It's currently assigned to Eastern Army. I cannot get it out of China. Sorry, Japan. It won't let me load it on a ship. It's restricted to Japan. Let's say I really wanted to use this unit, though, right? Look how much it cost to buy it. 668 political points. Well, I don't got 668 political points, right? I only have 274. And I want to move it out of China. I'm sorry, out of Japan. But how do I do that? Remember from the aircraft where it said that it only costs 1/4 the amount to change the headquarters within command? Well, if we look at General Defense Army, you notice that most of these have R's and such, right? Okay, well, that won't do us any good. And also you see that we have air headquarters here, right? Most play-by-email campaigns will have rules against you assigning a ground unit to an air headquarters. Now, you could do that if you're playing against AI. You could do it all day. So I could click it and assign this unit to 11th Air Flotilla, and it would cost me 1/4 the amount to move it. But that's really gamey, and most, like I said, most play-by-email campaigns are going to have rules preventing you from doing that. So I want to get you out of the habit of doing that because most games won't allow it. It's really cheap. It's really lame. But we have options. Check this out. I'm looking through this list, right, for General Defense Army, and I see something little fishy here. What is this? 27th Army. So at first glance, you would think that this is a restricted command, right? It says it's got an R here, but there's a slash here, right? Check this out. 27th Army itself is unrestricted. And while the UI here does not tell you it costs 1/4, the same rules apply for ground units as they do for air units. Just for whatever reason, the air unit UI gives you more information than the ground unit one does. I think that's just an oversight. It's an old game. This game's 15, 20 years old. Things got missed, you know, whatever. But the same rules apply. So watch this. 668, right? We have 274. I'm going to select 27th Army and hit done. Wow, it let me do it, right? I didn't spend 668. I spent a lot less than that, like 170 points. What a bargain, right? Now, this unit, Guards Mixed Brigade, I could take it and ship it out of here. Watch this. I'll just take a bunch of these ships, right? It doesn't even matter. We'll dock it, load troops. Now, do you notice that the Guards Mixed Brigade is dispatchable, right? It's loaded on ships. Now I can take that unit out of the home islands and ship it. And it's assigned to a headquarters that is unrestricted. Even though this headquarters is part of General Defense Army, for whatever reason, it is coded as not restricted. Okay, I didn't make the game. You can talk to Gary Grigsby and his friends about that, or whoever made AE. I don't know, but I'm just telling you, you're paying political points to move it to an unrestricted headquarters. You just happen to find one that is in the General Defense Army, and you got it at a discount. And you can do that for basically any of these units that you want. For what is this guy? This AA unit, right? Again, I'll give you one more demonstration because I want to be a dead horse. Let's make another amphibious unit, right? Okay. I want to load up that. Oh, geez. Nope. I screwed that up. Never mind. Let me try that again. Amphibious. Okay. That's better. I want to load up. I want to load up an AA unit, right? Well, I don't see it in the list. Well, if I really, really want it, I can click here, buy it out to 27th Army for 1/4 the cost, right? Remember, it's not going to tell you that. You have to remember it. It would cost 1/4 the cost, which would be what? 6, 7, 8, 7.5 political points, right? Watch this. We have 107. I'm going to do this. Okay. Look how many political points we spent. 7 points. Now I can take the AA unit. There it is. Load it up. Boom. So that is why you would want to buy units out their headquarters with political points. So one other thing. I want to show you a couple other tricks, and I'm going to put some asterisks and caveats on them. I'm going to pause the video real quick because I want to reset this campaign to get political points again because I'm almost out. I want to show you something else. You ready? Hold on. All right, so I'm back. Let's talk about a tip or trick, however you want to call this. I'm back and I've restarted this campaign, so I have maximum political points. So I have let's say I'm playing a campaign and I have a rule that says that I have to pay political points to move units out of the Kwangtung army to go into China. Okay, that's fine. So let's say I want to move this Potonko heavy gun regiment. All right. Well, it's cost 67 political points to move just this one unit. I'm looking through my list of headquarters in Kwangtung army, and the only thing that I see that's unrestricted is an air division, right? And we already have a rule in place that says you can't buy ground units to air divisions because that's gamey. This is for managing aircraft, not managing infantry units, all right? So I could do this. I could just go assign it to Southern Army or China Expeditionary. Honestly, it'd make more sense to do Southern Army because then it's never restricted anywhere. But boy, I want to buy a lot of units and I don't have a lot of money. Well, there's some things you can do. Okay, and it's not just the Japanese that can do this. The Allies can too, and I will show you. You can do this. Watch this. If you want to buy units at a discount from Kwangtung Army to meet the intent and to get them in here, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, what you can do is find another unrestricted headquarters. Right, so let's go headquarters units. You can find an unrestricted army or headquarters unit that's infantry and assign it to Kwangtung Army and watch what happens. So, for example, I'll use 16th Army here. It's currently assigned to Southern Army, so it's completely unrestricted. Anything in 16th Army, anything in Southern Army, you can use it anywhere you want. Right now, this headquarters is located at Babel, but I need to find a way to unlock the power of Kwangtung at a discount. So here's what I'm going to do. I will take Southern Army. I'll click on Southern Army. No, and this is going to cost a lot up front. There's a big upfront cost, right? It's going to cost me 177 political points to take the 16th Army headquarters. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to assign it to Kwangtung Army, and I'm going to pay the full amount. But now check this out. So now 16th Army, which is down here at Babel, is assigned to Kwangtung Army. However, watch this. I want to take this armored unit, which is part of Kwangtung Army. It cost me 68 political points, right? To buy it out to a unrestricted headquarters, unless, remember, if you're going to another headquarters that's in your subordinate major command. Look at 16th Army. Watch this. Okay, 323, 68, done. I just bought this unit to 16th Army, but look how much I spent to do it. 20 something, no, like a little less, like 20 something political points, as opposed to 68. So now there was a big upfront cost moving the 16th Army to Kwangtung, but now every other unit that I want to buy out is going to only cost me 1/4 the amount to do it. So 17 goes divided by 4, right? But it gets better. There's some pretty expensive units out here, right? Let's find one. No, not Korea Army. What does that cost? Nope, I want to find something more expensive. Something with a lot of AV. There you go. This 5th Infantry Regiment. Let's say I want to use that in China. Look at this. It would normally cost me 423 points to do this. Man, that's a lot. Or I could take it to 16th Army. Right? I just did it, right? Now I can move it out of China. And I only spent about 100 political points to do it. So you can see that upfront cost of moving the 16th Army to Kwangtung is worth it. When you start buying a lot of units in bulk, you're saving a ton of political points. And not only that, you've met the rule, and you also have a unit now that can go anywhere on the map. Wait, where's that one that I just bought? Yeah, this infantry regiment, I can use it anywhere in the world because it's assigned to a headquarters that is not restricted. Even though the headquarters is assigned to a restricted command, the actual army headquarters is not. So that is one way you can find ways to get units unrestricted without spending full cost. I want to give you a quick disclaimer here. There are going to be some campaigns or some people who will have a rule against this because some people may consider it gamey. even though you're complying with the rules, you're finding ways to get around them so that you're not spending so much. So you need to confirm with your opponent that you can do this. Most don't even understand what this means, and some will say, like, hey, you're still paying political points, although you're not spending as much. You are still paying, and you are moving them into restricted or unrestricted commands. So you're doing what the rules say. You just need to make sure there's not a rule that says that you can't do this. I typically don't see that, but you should confirm. All right. So that's one way you can do this. Now, I want to show you that it's not just the Japanese that have this option. The Allies certainly do too. All right, I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to show you how the Allies can do it too. And believe me, they do. One moment. Okay, so I'm back on the Allied side now, and this is day 2 of the campaign because the Allies only start with 100 political points, and it's kind of hard to get much done like that. But you remember, you get about 50 a day. That's pretty standard with these. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. Most of these scenarios will accrue 50 political points per day. There may be variations depending on the scenario you play. It's almost always 50 each day per side. So let me show you this. It's not just the Japanese that got cool tricks. The Allies do too. Let's look at, oops, that's not the button I wanted. U.S. Army. Let's look at this. Do you see this command, West Coast? I don't know if you've looked at it lately, but there is a ton. There's a ton of good units in here, right? And I would want to use these somewhere, but they're restricted. Again, this infantry division, for example, is assigned to West Coast, and West Coast is restricted to the continental United States. Now, I could rail it as far as Prince Rupert or all the way up to Eastern USA because it's still geographically in the same region, but I could never load it on a ship or anything because it's restricted. Well, how would I get around this? Because I really want to use it, but I don't have 1,200 political points to spend on this dang unit. Well, just like the Japanese can take an army headquarters and buy it to Kwangtung, you could take one of your headquarters and buy it to West Coast. Check it out. You can take, and this is very common, okay? Again, confirm with your opponent that this is allowed, but almost all Allied players do this. It's not scandalous. Take your US Amphib Corps, right, which is unrestricted to Pacific Fleet, and now you're going to take it, and you're going to have to spend that full amount, and I'm going to assign it to West Coast, okay? Now, the US Amphib Corps is now stuck here in the United States for a while, which is fine, but all these West Coast units are now available to you. The ones that can swap their headquarters, right? So let's take a look at one. Let's look at this. Where's the one I want? This Coastal Artillery Regiment. It's assigned to West Coast, and I really want to send it to Pearl Harbor. I don't know why you want to, but just say you want to send it to Pearl Harbor. Okay, well, it's going to cost me 64 political points. You notice everything's grayed out here? That means that we don't have enough money. But we're really close, right? So let's find a unit that actually is a little bit less. Let's try this. Let's try this one just for fun. I really want to use this Coastal this unit. I want to send it somewhere. Okay. Oh, that's not a good example either. I don't have a lot of money here. Hold on. Something with a small load cost. Ah, here we go. Here's an example. I want to send this unit to Pearl Harbor. Well, normally it would cost me 43 political points to do so. Well, I don't have that much money. But remember, again, it only costs you 1/4 the amount if you're changing within the major command. So right now we're assigned to West Coast, and I want to assign it to the U.S. Amphib Corps. Okay, notice that we have 15 political points. Watch this. This unit is now assigned to U.S. Amphib Corps. It is unrestricted. And how much did it cost us? Only 10 political points. And you can do that with all those units that are assigned to West Coast, including some of these big boys, like the 41st Infantry Division, right? Which would normally cost you 1,200 political points. But if you divide that by 4, it's only going to cost you 300 when you get them. and you buy them to US and FibCorp, now you can send it anywhere in the world on a ship and use it. So that is one of the options that the Allies have, um, to do what the Japanese can do. So I just want to show you that. Again, confirm with your opponent that that's allowed, because there will be some really hardcore players that are going to try to make a rule that would not allow you to do that, because they really want you to spend full cost and keep units where they basically not doing this would permanently restrict units to wherever they're at, right? The 41st Infantry Division would be, for all intent and purposes, unaffordable to send to India or to Australia. You could never afford that because you have other needs for political points. So some people really want you to only do that. Some people really only want Kwangtung Army units to stay in Kwangtung, and it's unaffordable to move them anywhere else. Well, I think that's a little short-sighted. So I just want to show you that. Now, I've been talking quite a while about this because it's a very important topic and you need to know about it. But hopefully I've answered any questions you have about buying army units to other commands, and I think we should move on to another topic here. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the comments or come to Discord and talk to me about them. Let's move on to our next topic. Okay, let's talk about our next topic, changing commands of bases. Why would you want to do that? Well, there's a few reasons. One, for example, is, and you can watch my headquarters video to learn more. There are benefits to administration of your airfields when you have a air HQ assigned at the base, and it is part of the same command that the base's command, right? Again, watch that video. So there's benefits there, but there's other benefits too. For example, we've been talking about restricted, unrestricted, all that stuff, right? Well, let me show you what I'm talking about. In this game, I just captured ADAC, right? And it defaults to Southern Army because the bulk of the units that are taking it are Southern Army, okay? And all these are unrestricted. And that's fine. And so is this base. It's unrestricted too. But I really wish I could get some aircraft here, and I need to get them here quick. I wonder if there's something in the home islands I can use. Let me go look over here. Ooh, these Mavises. I would love to use these Mavises and move them over to ADAC for some spotting, right? So let me go transfer these guys to base. Let's move them over to ADAC, right? Wait, I can't because because I'm transferring them to an unrestricted location, and the Mavises are restricted. They're permanently restricted. I can't even buy them out, right? It's not yellow here. So how can I get these home island aircraft over to ADAC in a pinch? Let me show you. All right, and this is no trickery here, guys. This is all legit. There's not even anything to discuss with your opponent. There's no rules being broken here at all. Check this out. What I need to do is I need to swap this base over to General Defense Army. Why? Because a lot of these permanently restricted units in the home islands are assigned subordinately to the General Defense Army. And that I can't change that, but I can change this base. So how would I do that? And by the way, full credit to Desert Wolf for showing me this. I did not understand how to do this until he taught me. So Desert Wolf, thank you so much. All credit to you. I did not discover this on my own, guys. I was told. I'm just sharing it. So what I would, first of all, to get this base to go over to General Defense, there needs to be at least one unit at the base assigned to that command. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the cheapest and smallest engineer unit we got, for example. I've tried AA. It does not work. I don't know why. It needs to be something else. So let's find the cheapest unit we got, which is going to be this road construction company. It has the least amount of devices in it. I'm going to spend 15 points to buy this out to General Defense Army, and I pay full price, right? Because we're going outside the command. So now let's assign it to General Defense. Look what happens to the base when I do that. Now all of a sudden I can pay to buy this to General Defense, and it only cost me 10 political points to do that. Why? Remember what I told you at the beginning? It's a function. Hold on, let me bring up my little notepad. It's a function of the size of the airfields and ports. So if you're going to do this, do it early on when there's basically nothing. The only thing that's driving the cost is size 1 port. There's no airfield, there's nothing else. So if you're going to buy a base, buy it early on before you build it up, or else it'll get more expensive. But now the base is attached to general defense, right? Now, watch this. I can take that unit from the home islands, these Mavises, and I can transfer them over to ADAC. Watch this. Boom. Now we got Mavis float planes assigned to ADAC. And now I have spotting all the way almost to Anchorage. Because I took this restricted unit, it's assigned to General Defense Army. But ADAC is now considered part of General Defense Army. It's restricted just like the home islands. This is now considered an extension of the home islands command. Is that not cool or what? And I could actually take any unit I wanted to, as long as they have the range to do it, right? And as long as you can like change these bases, right? I wonder what it would. I can't do that, but you could leapfrog units over here and get it to here. And as long as you have an airfield built up, which we don't yet, we're building one. I can move all kinds of aircraft from here over to ADAC without having to buy those units out. And it was a one-time cost. It cost us 25 political points to make ADAC part of the home islands. So that is another reason why you would want to buy a base with political points. Change the command. And this is no trickery here. The allies can do the exact same thing. I don't really want to get into it. I'll let my opponent figure that out himself. But you can do the reverse thing for the allies, right? You can do the same thing as what I meant. You could buy bases to a permanently restricted command on the United States and take units that normally could not fly and ferry them to bases that are restricted now and get them into the South Pacific if you wanted to. So everybody can do this. I just want to show you how. So there's a good reason why you want to buy a base. So 1, benefits for air HQs and administration, and 2, being able to move aircraft around that normally could never leave. Cool. Let's continue. Okay. We're getting close, man. This is a real doozy of a video, right? But there's so much information I want to cover, and I really think it's useful. So let's continue on. Let's talk about topic number 5, political point refunds. So there are actually ways to make money in this game, but it's not really in the manual. At least I haven't found it. So, and I'll show you how to do it. And it pertains to, and I'm on an allied campaign right now. Look at this. Let's look at this group withdrawal schedule. Okay, if I sort this, there's a lot of units here that have to be withdrawn, but check this out. Sometimes if you do it early, you can make money doing it. So let's look at these Banshees at Port Moresby, right? Notice how they have to be withdrawn by March 15th, 1942. But if I do it early, watch this. Withdraw group. Withdrawing group now will gain 18 political points for the player. Proceed. Yeah. Boom. So now I just withdrew that unit and I got 18 political points, right? I had 304. Now I got 322. Well, let's try it again. Let's take these guys. I want to withdraw these guys too. Withdraw group. This one will give me 10 political points. Well, sure. Boom. And there's more. You can keep going through this list and looking for other units to withdraw early. Now, granted, the units are going away. They're not coming back when you do that. You get to keep the aircraft when you do this. Okay. Let's look at this P-40 squadron, right? Notice how there's 13 in the pool right now? It has to be removed by March 15th. If I click withdraw group, this one's going to give me 30 political points. Watch this. Boom. Look at my political point tally right now. We're up to 362. Man. One more. Because I want to show you this. Group. Nope, wrong one. Group withdrawals schedule. See how our pool went up too? Not only are we getting political points, we're also getting back the aircraft airframes for our pool. Now, this one will give us 26 political points. Proceed? Yeah. Boom. Look at that. We're almost up to 400. Now, I could use these political points to buy out something really fancy, right? For example, let's go look at... See, I'm getting a refund on these political points. Now I could use them for something else. Like, remember how I was showing you guys this West Coast stuff? Let's find something really expensive. Like the 40th Infantry Division. Remember, I could use it and buy it against Amphib Corps, but I need a little more money, right? I need... Jeez. Normally it'd be 2,000 almost. I don't got that, but I need to make some money. I want to buy this unit out. I need almost 500 political points. So what I'm going to do is I'll just keep going and finding units that need to withdraw, and I'm going to sell them back. Watch. Fine, take them all. I don't want them. These Banshees were just getting killed anyway. Let's sell these guys. These ones will give me 17, right? Let's find some more. Let's see. Withdraw 23. Yeah. Let's keep going. What do we got right now? 473. I don't think that's enough. Let's do one more. Group withdrawal schedule. Let's get... Now that'll be worth a lot. 20 political points. And is there anything else I could sell? Okay. One thing I want to point out to you. Now, I haven't completely worked out the math as to how they calculate how much these are worth. It appears to me, just looking at it, that you get the amount of serviceable aircraft plus 5. That seems to be the going rate here, but don't quote me on this. All right, 18 political points. Let's try it again. So that's 18. And what about, is there anything else I can sell? Okay, this one, 15 aircraft plus 5 is 20. So it appears the math works out that it's the amount of serviceable airframes plus 5 political points for withdrawing them early. All right. Now, let's see what we got for political points. 531. Now we can go look at that West Coast unit, right? It's a 40th, right? Watch this. Now I have enough. So it normally would cost me 1928, but again, we purchased US Amphib Corps to West Coast. Now, boom. I now have the 40th Infantry Division at LA that can be moved anywhere on the map. And it only cost me 500 political points as opposed to 2,000. So I just want you to be aware of it. There are ways to make money, and it usually pertains to selling aircraft that have to go anyway, right? VP 102, right? You could even sell that one back. And here's where the math is busted. And I don't quite understand. I haven't quite worked it out yet. This one gives you 37 political points, but there's only 7 aircraft here. So there must be a function between the amount of months away that it is and the aircraft that you're turning in. So I haven't figured it out. The best way for you guys to figure it out is to just click it and see what you get. Remember, it has to be withdrawn, not disbanded. If I disband it, I get nothing. Look. I get nothing when I do that. You have to withdraw it. So again, take a look at your units that are withdrawing. And if you want to see if you can get some money back for them, just click on them. Just click on them and see if it'll pay you for them. See that one? Check it out. It is 2 plus 5 is 7, and I think it's a function of how far out it is. Let's see one that's further out. Check this one. So it's giving you 47, and I think it's because it's further out. But again, I'm not 100% certain on that. So it could also be a function of maybe the amount of engines they have. I don't really know. The point here is that there are ways to recoup political points withdrawing aircraft early. Now, the downside to that is you're losing the aircraft early, right? So you're getting rid of squadrons earlier than when they would have to go. So you'll have to do the cost analysis. Like, is this unit worth more to me in political points than it is to me in operational capability? And you'll have to make that decision for yourself. What's it worth to me more, one or the other? But sometimes if you're really in a pinch and you're having some underperforming air units like those Banshees, ugh, I never had any luck with those. But now I have this awesome infantry division that I can send out into the Pacific right away and use it. And boy, Japanese hitting a wall of 366 American AV in the South Pacific would probably be a big shock to them, right? Yeah, there you go. I just want to show you how you can make political points back. All right, let's finish up with our last topic. Okay, guys, last topic here, and I'm done. This video has gone on longer than I thought it would, but I'm hopefully covering a lot of good information for you guys that you can use in your games if you don't know how this stuff works. Okay, political point penalties. Just like you can make money, you can lose money too. And I'll show you a couple ways that you can do that. The first one is ship withdrawals. Now, this is more so for the Allies. They tend to have more ships withdrawing than the Japanese. But, you know, both sides have this. There are going to be some ships that don't stay on the map forever, okay? And I'm already into March on this campaign, so I've already sent some ships off map. But some of these ships you can't keep forever, like the Queen Elizabeth, right? Well, the British want that thing back. It needs to go back to England to ferry troops back and forth to different places on the eastern seaboard to Europe. They want it back. So I need to move this thing off map by April 19th, 1942. All right, that's 49 days from now. I don't have to do it. I could theoretically keep it on the map, but you're going to pay for it. And here's where it is. Every day that I do not withdraw this ship past this date, I would have to pay 20 political points to do it. Now, I don't know what that means if you go below zero, negative. I've never done it. I don't know what happens there. I don't think it's good. So you don't want to run a political point deficit by any means. My guess is that you just go negative and you keep going negative until you pay it back. And in the meantime, you can't spend any political points. I believe that's what happens, but I've never tested it. I don't really want to know. But there's cost for that. Like this British aircraft carrier, the Indomitable, it needs to come off map by July 21st. I could keep it on the map if I want to, but it's going to cost me 65 political points per day. And that's 15 more than I even make. So I automatically go in the hole every day that it stays on the map past this date. So this is a penalty that you pay if you don't move these ships off in a timely manner. Okay? Now, let's look at another way that you can actually lose political points. And it pertains to your aircraft. So the aircraft here also have to move off, right? And you have a certain amount of days to do it. And once you exceed the date that they have to withdraw by, if you don't do it, you run a penalty. And the penalty will be listed in the ops report. Now, there's not going to be one on this right now because I'm just showing you an old save file. But in your ops report, it will tell you near the bottom how much it costs per unit to keep it on the map every day. Somewhere it's 3 to 10. Let's call it 1 to 10 political points per day, depending on the size of the unit, the type, all that stuff. It will tell you down here how many political points it will cost you to keep it on map every day past its withdrawal date. So it really behooves you, unless you really need the unit, to move these guys off in a timely manner. So when it's time to withdraw these B-17s, withdraw them on the day they need to be withdrawn. Or, like I showed you earlier, you can withdraw them early if you want to make some money, right? If you want to make some money, you can do that. See, this one's 15. I wonder if it's a function of the amount of engines the aircraft has. Huh. Yeah, I bet you that might be it. So these have 2 engines. So 5 times 2 plus 5 would be 15. Let's try one more. Since we're talking about it. These Liberators, you get 47, right? So if you have 7... Oh, that's it! Oh, check it out. Okay, 7 aircraft, times 4. Well, that still doesn't work. Huh. So 7 times 4 is only 28 plus 5. Okay, you know what? Never mind that. I don't know how to figure this out yet. Don't worry about it. What I'm just trying to show you is that um, you can make money or you can lose money with these aircraft withdrawals. And that's another penalty that you pay for political points for not withdrawing aircraft in time. Okay, sorry I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. I'm still going to try to figure out the calculation for how you can determine how many political points you get for aircraft withdrawals. I'll figure that out and I'll report it back to you guys. But I'm going to wrap up this video right now and make sure you guys know that I'm available to answer your questions on this topic at all, either in the video comments or on Discord. I hope you found it useful. I know it was long, but there was a lot of information to cover here. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it, and I will catch you guys in the next video.